If you're like me, you have a bunch of weapons and gear stashed in your bank hoping it becomes useful someday. Well, this build is just what you need to put all that stuff to good use. This build focuses on pure gunplay. It's buffing all the stats that matter to get the most out of all your weapons. During the intro, I showcased multiple guns all doing great damage, so slap this together, try out all the weapons you've never used, and of course the metas are only going to work better than ever. Alright, starting out, I'm just going to go over the gear that is mandatory and then let you know what can be swapped out wherever. So the first piece that's mandatory is going to be the Field Scientist class mod. The reason this is mandatory is because you want the part where whenever Harlowe shocks an enemy, she automatically entangles him. And then that is going to go hand in hand with your Watts for Dinner. So these are the only two mandatory pieces. The Watts for Dinner, ideally, get Amp and Siphon, but if you can only get one or the other, I would get Siphon, because you want the overshield to be up as much as possible, because that's what's doing your shock damage, which is what's going to do your entangling and irradiating enemies. And the reason that's important is because in our skills, we're going to get Neutron Decay, which is whenever Harlowe irradiates enemies, she gains increased gun damage. So by having the Watts for Dinner doing shock damage, that's automatically irradiating enemies. When you irradiate them, then you're getting that extra gun damage, and that's going to play into everything else. Alright, now for our weapons. I built this completely around being able to use any weapon in the game, so you don't have to stick to any one prescription. The only two pieces of gear, like I said, are the Scientist and the Watts for Dinner, but if you want the absolute best, your Bod with Torque Stickies or your Chaosin with Stickies are going to be your best bossing. But I also showcased at the beginning the Complex Root doing good bossing and then the Anarchy doing good bossing. Both of these are really good for mobbing as well. I like the Aegon's Dream for mobbing. The Anarchy was a surprise for me because I really like this one because of the 20 stack buff that you can get on auto reload or on kill. And the reason I like this is because I'm getting ammo back with every critical hit. And if you're like me, I subconsciously reload when there's a break in the action, or if I see my ammo running low. Now I don't see my ammo running low, so now I just have to remember that I don't need to keep reloading, and I'm able to get and maintain that 20 stacks from kills, and then I'm doing a lot of damage, and I can just keep running through with just out reloading the gun at all. I also really like the 7 cents. I was using this a lot. It got buffed a couple patches ago. It's really good to use. I was also using the 7 cents and my Complex Root with Jacob's parts and using a Jacob's enhancement, and then that was giving me more damage and more, well, just more fun for doing drill sites and mobbing. Because you can use any gun, you can also use any enhancement that works well with your gun. So you can mix and match this whole thing. As long as you stick with the two main pieces, you can mix and match any of these, try out all the different things, and then find out what works best for you. Lastly, in gear, under firmware, I've got 3 Deadeye for the critical hit damage and critical hits on it, and then also Trick Shot for critical hit damage and reload speed. Because this is a pure gun build, doing 100% crit damage with Group Study active, we want to just maximize our crit damage with anything we can. Now for our actual skills, the 2 big ones here are going to be Nuclear Winter and Group Study. If you don't know, Group Study throws out a bubble. The bubble floats around you. You do bonus gun damage, fire rate, reload speed. You can reactivate it, do even more gun damage, fire rate, reload speed while it drains faster. Then we've got Nuclear Winter. This is going to give us bonus cryo damage when the bubble is surrounding us, and then when action skill ends, that gives us bonus radiation damage. That radiation damage is going to be what we use with Confirmative Reality. Confirmative Reality is going to decrease our action skill cooldown so that we have it faster and more often, and that's going to work by entangling enemies. So anytime we do shock damage from Watts for Dinner, we do bonus cryo or bonus radiation damage from Nuclear Winter. Or if you're just using a cryo, radiation, or shock and you're able to entangle enemies that way, any shot is going to do a 1% discount on your action skill cooldown. So our biggest damage multiplier here is going to be Excited State. The reason this is big is because whenever an enemy is damaged by an action skill, the next shot of that enemy is automatically critical hit. Well, anytime you do this bonus cryo damage or bonus radiation damage, that is considered action skill damage. So anytime that Group Study is active, Excited State will always be hitting. So every shot you're taking with Group Study active will be a critical hit. Then we have that paired with doing more damage, extra damage, critical hit damage anytime we entangle an enemy. So that is automatically going to happen when we have our shock or our bonus cryo, bonus radiation damage. Then we have an additional damage for our overshield. Harlow's gaining this the more overshield you have. Now that's going to pair in with the watts for dinner, which is giving us overshield, but also with this distribution function, which whenever we damage an enemy, we repair our shield and then give ourselves overshield. And all of this plays together too with more critical hits. We have the chance to refill our gun ammo. So all of this plays together. Then the critical hits do bonus radiation damage, and then the feedback loop, we gain action skill damage. So all of these play into group study and nuclear winter. So these two, the capstone and augment, are all playing into each other with extra crit damage, with bonus radiation damage, with the chance to reload our ammo. And then we also have, as I mentioned earlier, neutron decay for more gun damage. And then finally, we're getting into more action skill damage, just boosting nuclear winter. I almost forgot to mention decoherence. This is one of our biggest ones outside of the critical hits and gun damage boosts that we're getting. The reason this is because anytime we entangle an enemy, we deal increased damage from all sources to entangled enemies. So if you were actually using a cryo or radiation weapon that you were going to be able to entangle enemies automatically, you could actually use the reactor class mod to gain more decoherence and do more damage that way. But because this build is built around using every weapon possible, we're not going into the reactor class mod, but that is an option for you. For my specializations, I'm using a honed mind. So action skills gain a chance to critical hit. Anytime we're using nuclear winter, that's action skill damage, so we want the extra bonus damage there. I'm also using I'm a gun. This is where gun damage benefits action skill damage, and the reason we're doing that is because if you remember, nuclear winter is all action skill damage, and then things like neutron decay and creative overflow are increasing our gun damage, so that's going to increase our action skill damage. Then I have one shot, one kill, so excess damage, because we're doing so much bonus damage between watts for dinner with shock damage, the bonus cryo, bonus radiation damage. That is all going to be stored and put into the next shot. That allows us to chain kill much more easily. And then lastly, I've really this, so dealing gun damage increases gun damage. This gun damage is going to increase our action skill damage. And this all plays together in order to make the most damage possible. And that's it for this build. Put this build together, grab all that mothballed gear that you have saved up, and let me know what your favorite weapon is in the comments. Also, like and subscribe for more Borderlands 4 content. See ya!